So for materials, we have a weight for yarn. I used around under 3 yards. It was like 3 of 380 of this yarn. And then a 6.5mm hook, and optionals but recommended stitch markers, sewing needle, and of course scissors. To start off, I chained the width of the sweater. I did 70. And for the width, I mean like the side to side of the front panel, not the whole part. I'm saying front panel, but just front part. But it will be like hip to hip around, or depending if you want it oversized or not. This is the width of the front of the sweater. After you finish your chains, you're going to half double crochet in each chain. I always chain one in between rows because that's just a preference in the way I was taught to crochet, but you don't have to. So to half double crochet, you're going to go into the stitch. Well, you yarn over first, go into the stitch, pull through the stitch, and then pull through 3. And you're going to do that for the rest of the row. Once you finish the row, I chain and turn my work again, and then you half double crochet in each stitch for a total of 40 rows, so it'd be 39 rows after this. But this is the height of the sweater up to like below your neck. It doesn't include the neck part because we add that later. So however high you want it, whether you want it to be longer or shorter, this is going to be the height of that. Also keep in mind, I steam my work. If you plan on blocking it or stretching it later, you want to make it shorter than you want because it's just going to stretch later. So we're going to start the shoulders, and you start off by counting the total number of stitches, which for me I start off as 70, and then you minus 12 because that's going to be how wide our neck is, so that got me like 58. And then you divide that by 2 because we're going to have 2 sides, the shoulder side, and separate a middle for our head and neck. So divide by 2, I came out with 29. So I'm just going to half double crochet a total of 29 stitches. But on the 29th stitch, so that will be the last stitch, I just decrease it into the next one. So as I got to the last one, I just do a half double crochet as normal, but keep the 3 on and then tuck it into the next one. What this is going to do is create a tilt for the neck to fit. So then I go to the next row, and we're going to decrease in the first stitch and then half double crochet in all the rest of the stitches. So we're only going to be adding decreases on the inner part, like where our head is going to be, because it's going to tilt our work while keeping the outer edge straight. So we're going to go back and forth between the rows, for the second row, we just start with a decrease, and then we're going to end with a decrease in the next row, and then start and just go back and forth. Once you do that, we're going to half double crochet in each stitch for a total of 16 rows. So no decreases, just straight half double crocheting. Once you finish the one side, you're going to cut your yarn and tie off, and we're going to repeat the same for the other side, but instead of doing 16 rows of half double crochet, you're going to do 17, and make sure you don't cut the yarn. So you're going to do the 6 rows with all the decreases as before, and then 17 rows of half double crochet without cutting the yarn. So now you have this big U looking thing, and we made the neck and some of the front, most of the front, the whole front, sorry, and some of the back. And now we're going to connect them back to each other and go back to the starting chain that we started with. So you want to start off by counting how many stitches total you have half double crochets, and then subtracting that number from the starting chain. So I had 23 on each side, got me 46, and my starting chain was 70. So 70 minus 46 equals 24. So now I have to chain 24 in order to get back to the original 70 number that we started with. Once you have that chain, you're going to half double crochet right into the first stitch. Not slip stitch it, just half double crochet right in. So you're just going to want to yarn over first, insert your hook into the stitch, and then you're going to have to twist it because it might twist on its own, and just pull through all 3 loops. And then you just half double crochet across the side, and then it will be connected. Now we have these half double crochets and these chains, so you're going to put a half double crochet in each stitch, the previous row, and then in each chain. So you see when I get there, I just insert my hook and do a half double crochet inside of each chain, making one connected row all the way across. In order to make everything the same height, the front and back, we have to do 40 more rows because we did one less row on the back neckline. So it's going to be 41 total rows instead of 40. But you just half double crochet in each stitch for 40 more rows. Now turn the piece on its side and you want to mark from the center, which for me, I can count, I did 6 rows of decrease and then 6 rows of regular for like the half point. So you can count from the front side, you do 6 rows, your 6 rows of decrease and then 6 regular rows, so it should be 12 rows up from that, from the neckline is going to be the half point. You could also fold in half too and get the half point from that, but that's the middle. And then my sleeve is 50 rows wide, so half of that is going to be 25. You can figure this number out by just trying it on, putting it over your head and seeing where you want the sleeve to be, but this was a good number for me and I knew I was going to stretch it out later, so that's the number I ended up doing. So I did 25 on one side, 25 on the other side, and marked the rows. I counted by rows. Then you want to insert your yarn and half double crochet 1 stitch on the side of each row. So it should be a total of 50 stitches, and it really is important to count while you do this because you might think you're doing 1 stitch in each row and then you're doing 2 less or 2 little. Same thing, 2 less or too much. So you just want to make sure you count and really pay attention to where you're putting the stitch in, because it can look like it's lining up and then it really isn't. So for this first part, when I get to the blue stitch marker, I should have 25, and I just half double crochet all the way across, all the way down to that green one to have a total of 50. For this is going to be the width of the sleeve, how wide it's going to end up. You want to make sure you have enough room to wrap around your shoulder and your wrist and all that. After you're done that first row, you're going to do more half double crochet rows going side to side until it is the length of the sleeve that you want. You could use a tape measure, and you don't want to just measure including the sleeve. You want to measure including the side of the panel, the other part that we made before. Not the panel, sorry, one panel tutorial. So it includes both the neck part and the sleeve length in order to do all that. 35 rows was a good number for me because I'm going to steam it later, so I want it a little shorter right now. So now you're going to fold the piece in half. The front and back part are going, the edges are going to line up, and then the sleeves are going to be folded in half by the side. And then you can kind of see the shape of the sweater forming. We just have to sew it all together. So we're going to sew down the sides of the sleeves and then the sides of the body to get that nice sweater shape. I like to put stitch markers to guide me, but you can also use the sweater itself as a guide because the rows should be lined up perfectly because they are the same on each side. So you can kind of use the rows as a guidance too. If you don't have a stitch marker or a sewing needle, you can slip stitch everything together too. Also gets the job done. And kind of just use the sweater as a guide. I even like to fold it open so that I can really see where the rows line up. Yay, now the sweater part is made, but now your chest is all out, and this, I guess this could be a fashion statement, but on me looks crazy. So now we have to make the neckline. I like to put the sweater inside out on the wrong side facing you, so the part you want to be hidden from everyone else. And then you're going to mark the back side. This is really optional, but I like to do it because later on, you're not going to really be able to tell the difference between the front and the back side, but it still fits better when it's on the right side. So I just pull yarn through, make a little bow. You can't see it from the outside, so it's like a fun little tag. Now I need to make the neckline more snug, so I start off by inserting my yarn and doing a single crochet around the neck. Through the front, the sides, and the back, just in that little circle, you're going to insert your hook and put a single crochet in all those stitches around wherever you can find a gap that is a nice distance apart. In order for the neckline to really fit the body, so that's not super loose, I do a decrease in each stitch. So I go into the first stitch, I go into the second stitch, and then I pull through those 3 loops. And those just combine the stitches together to make half the amount I started with. This is also a preference, so I would try this on to make sure it gets over your head, because I've definitely added too many decreases and then it doesn't fit over my head. So you want to try it on first, and then maybe you'll do less or more decreases depending on how it fits. Once you have the neckline that you want, you're going to half double crochet in each stitch for 3 rows, or you could keep trying it on and see how many rows you want. If you want a little less coverage or more coverage, more neckline, less neckline, then you could add or get rid of rows of half double crochet. I should have added toenail clipper instead of scissors and materials, because that's what I used. But you're going to cut your yarn. You can slip stitch the last stitches together so that it looks nice and straight. And then you cut your yarn, weave in your ends, and then you are all done. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give it a like and subscribe, and have a great rest of your day.